Good evening and welcome once again to Life Changers Global Ministries Sunday School on a Different Night through our education department. We're so glad that you tuned in and made us a part of your Monday evening. We thank God for our pastor, none other than Apostle Dr. Earl Newton, who and his lovely wife, Yetta Newton, who make this time available for our education department, that we may come to you each week with a different lesson, with a different topic, because we come with as topic with an emphasis on changing lives, as our title for our ministry is Life Changers Global Ministry. And we know that the month of October was Breast Awareness Month, and we got started a little late, so we're going to carry over to this Monday, even though it's the first Monday in November. We have a lovely guest that has agreed to sit in with us, none other than Nadia Chang, and we have our own Evangelist Pearson, who is going to be our moderator and facilitator for tonight's session. I'm going to just get out of the way and pass the mic over to Evangelist Pearson. I'm going to ask her to take you before the throne of grace, that she may pray God's blessing over this lesson tonight. It is going to be once again on breast cancer, and we're going to be talking with Miss Nadia Chang, for she went through the total journey, and we thank God for the victorious journey that she went through. Should you have any questions, if you will put them on our Facebook, our own engineer, Sister Rita, will get them to Evangelist Pearson, and we will try to answer them, because we want you to be a part. We want to be able to assist you. So without any further ado, let me pass the mic to Evangelist Pearson.
Thank you, Pastor Fred. Let us go to the throne of grace in prayer. Father, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for an opportunity to be here in your presence and to share a part of Sister Nadia's journey that you walked through with her. Share it with the people, that someone may hear it and be encouraged, that they will learn from her experience, and that they would have the ability to see the hope, see the deliverance, and to have hope in their own journey, whether they be the individual that experienced the cancer themselves, or they are a loved one of an individual who suffered through the journey of breast cancer. We just thank you for her life, her health, her strength tonight. We thank you for the opportunity to be here in your house, and this opportunity to share your story in her life tonight with those who would hear it. In the name of Jesus we pray, amen. We want to welcome you tonight. I want to welcome you, Sister Nadia Chang. Thank you for being willing to share your story with us. I know that what you're going to share is not unlike what so many women have been through, but I thank you for your bravery and your willingness to share your journey, so that someone else would have hope and be encouraged by what they've seen and what they will hear from you tonight. And so, as Pastor Fred said, we are discussing the topic of breast cancer awareness, and Sister Chang is going to share her story, what it was like for her going through the journey of being diagnosed with breast cancer. And so, Nadia, I want to ask you, can you share with us what the experience was like when you first found out?
Yes, so when I first found out, it's kind of in layers. The initial, it could be cancer, that was the scariest part. Not even having a full diagnosis, but it could be cancer, and that's where the worst of my thoughts started. And then I just felt like I was going to go out and just fall apart, and I was terrified. My blood pressure shot up. I just needed someone to say, it's not as bad as it seems, you know? So I finally get my, I get a call from the surgeon who did had the biopsy and everything, and he said it was cancer, and I felt relieved weirdly. It was just, okay, now what do we do? And so, and he had said, oh, it's not the worst I've ever seen. So I just needed that. I just needed to know that it wasn't the worst. And so my feelings initially were terrified, to relieved, to, okay, now we have the surgery. We found it's not as easy as we thought it was. It had gone further. So now you're gonna need radiation and chemo, and then that became, oh no, fear again. So it was like, it was in layers, like it was up or down, up, just all over the place. And so after I found out I needed the whole process, then it was more like, okay, let's find out, make sure it didn't go any further than it was, and then let's do this. And that's pretty much how it went.
Well, tell us about your family circumstance. Who was with you? Were you parenting at the time, married? How old were you?
Oh goodness,
Okay.
I was 37, and I had a 10-month-old. Oh wait, she wasn't 10 months. She was a year and a half, and a son who was he was 4, and then I married. And did I answer the question? What I was my parents? Yeah. So married, 2 kids, stay-at-home mom, and when I found out that it could have been cancer, I was by myself, and then I had my mom stay with my kids just to, so I can get go to the radiologist and see what it was, and he didn't even let me leave. He was like, the way it looks, it's pretty much cancer, and that was just the sonogram. So I was by myself, and I remember trying to drive home, and I'm, oh, what? And my mom's like, just pull over, pull over. And then I called my sisters, and then I call my husband, my sisters, and I'm like, they think it's cancer, and and so, I had to get myself together before I went home, and, but that was the start of the journey, just that it could be, and, so being by myself for that, and that was, I don't know if it was good or bad at the time, but,
Right.
I really didn't think it was cancer until they said it could be.
What led you to get tested in the first place?
I had a lump. It started off when my daughter was 5 months. I had a plug duct, and I could never get it out. So I was just like, it stayed sore, and I waited a whole 10 months, and I had a little car accident, and it just kind of rattled me enough to just say, okay, well, let me just get this looked at. And so I went, and I was like, still thinking, okay, my family, we get a lot of cysts, and we have fibroids and cysts, and so we get lumps in there. So I was just like, that's just what it is. My mom has gone through it. My younger sister's gone through it. That's just what it is. It's fine, you know. So that's what prompted me, just being a little uncomfortable enough and having that lump. There was something that was there, but I thought it was just like a cyst or just fibrocystic breast or something like that.
Okay. How did you share with the family your news? I mean, I know you said you spoke with your husband and you shared with your siblings, but when you shared, what was their response? How did they respond to that communication?
Oh my goodness. I just remember my mom trying to stay calm for me, and I won't get emotional.
We have tissue. If you do, we're ready.
Yes,
this is an emotional topic.
It
Yes,
is. You
yes.
try to smile through it, but yeah, you have your bad days sometimes with just when you think about it. But I just know that she was just trying to keep me calm because I was driving when I shared it with her. And she's just like, pull over, because I'm emotional, I'm terrified, and so everyone was trying to stay calm for me, and then my sisters, I think more of just like, okay, just more asking questions like, okay, and I remember by this time I had parked at the grocery store down the street from my house. I had passed my house just to park and get myself together before I went home to my mom and the kids. So it was more of everyone just trying to stay calm and just saying, okay, we'll what's the next step and all of that. And my husband's already naturally a very calm person, so he was calm, and that helped too. I think if everyone had matched me in my, at least my emotional state. Like, you know, I was crying. I think that would have probably scared me more. So it was good that everyone was, you know, pretty trying to just say, okay, well, let's just figure, especially my older sister, she's the one, okay, let's just, what's the next step? We're just gonna, you know, this, and that. And, but everyone was, I think, trying to just stay calm and positive for me in that moment. That's funny. Thank you for asking that. I don't think anyone's ever asked, like, how everyone respond, but I remember that, like, everyone was staying calm, and it helped me stay there too. Get there.
Yeah. Well, it's a blessing to have that level of
Yes.
support.
Oh, goodness, yes.
I've seen others go through health crises, and I've seen families respond in the completely opposite way, which I would imagine would have made it more difficult for you to go through the journey. Can you share with us from the time of diagnosis to when you actually got your first report that it's all clear? How much time was that?
Oh, okay.
I know it felt like a lifetime, I'm sure, but
Oh, yeah. The waiting for the biopsy results to come was a lifetime. It was just days, but it was horribly painful. And, but from the time that let's see, it was around June. So I remember I had the accident around May. It was Mother's Day, before Mother's Day, and then June, and then I want to say and I had my surgery in July.
oh wow.
So it was pretty. So I had my surgery. They shoot this dye in to see what lymph nodes that the cancer from the tumor to your lymph nodes, to see where the cancer may have gone. So they did that, and they took out 8 lymph nodes. So and then they test everything.
Okay.
And what they found after the surgery was that it had gone to my lymph nodes, to 3 of them, and they had found that there were 3 different things feeding it that made it a little bit faster and aggressive. So at this point, we're talking about, like, this is July, it was like July 18th, and I hadn't gotten the clear yet until they did the whole full body scan to make sure it wasn't anywhere else. And I started chemo in August. So I had found out it wasn't anywhere else, and then I started chemo in August. So I got the clear July. So it was about a month, you know, knowing that, I had it, I had the surgery, they got it all out with the surgery, and now the chemo and radiation. I did everything backwards. Normally people do chemo and radiation first.
Okay.
But initially they thought that it was right, perfectly in the right place. He was so happy to say that, and turns out that it was sneaky.
It had spread.
Yeah.
So the thought of finding out that it could be to the surgery, and then you do the surgery, and it's more advanced than they thought. So now you've got to do the extended treatment, the preventive, I guess, chemotherapy after, the precautionary, if you will.
Right,
chemo
any
after.
microscopic, cells or things like that. That's what they need, and being younger too.
Okay.
So,
And how long was that journey on the chemotherapy?
that one was from August to December for the chemo part. And it was 2 stages of chemo. There was a very, and dare I say it in church, they call her Red Devil. It was the worst. She was horrible. It was it makes you sick.
Oh my.
It beats you down. So that was the first part, and that was a month of that. I think it was just a month, because it was every two weeks. And then the other one, or no, I think it was a little bit over that. Then the other one was, for the chemo, it was from August to December. And then I had immunotherapy that I had to do as well. That was supposed to go another year.
Wow.
But it actually wore my heart, so I had to stop that. So I didn't even get to finish the immunotherapy because it had taken my heart out, and I stopped that around, I want to say it was like June the next year, something like that.
Okay.
So I think I got maybe 6 months of the immunotherapy.
Okay.
So if you look at it all together, it was probably about, from August to June August of 2017 to June of 2018 of just certain treatments.
Okay.
And radiation in between. And so, yeah, it could have been longer, but it was a long journey in the sense that it was just a lot, you know.
I'm
it was
sure.
just, you know, your body is just continually being plowed with things, but, you know, medicine has changed so much that I'm sure that it was worse back in the day, you know.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm grateful that you're still here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Me too.
Yes, especially having to delay or postpone or not go through with all of the therapy that they recommended.
Oh, yeah.
Can you share with us some of the symptoms that you experienced just from the treatment?
Just the treatment. So, so the first chemo it was the worst. That one, I mean, your hair falls out like by second treatment. And it just makes you so sick. I would get it on Friday, and I would need the whole weekend to just feel better. And then, I mean, it's very toxic in the sense that you have to, it's toxic, you know, be careful with my kids. I had to use my own bathroom, not share bathroom. I wore long sleeves just like if I wanted to hug my kids or something, because it was pretty, it was pretty strong. So it was just very toxic, and most of it was nausea, just going through the nausea and loss of appetite. They have you on steroids to help you have appetite. So it was like 1 week was I just didn't want to eat anything or smell anything, and then the next week I wanted to eat a lot. So it was that was the first chemo. The second chemo, some of the side effects were like neuropathy, and you could still have a little bit of nausea, but one big thing about that one, I gained weight because the steroids were a lot stronger than the chemo, so it's like you wanted to eat everything. One lady said on like a chat, she was like, these steroids make me want to eat my wallpaper. And I'm like, if you do feel like you want to eat everything, I'm like, oh, I was so hungry during the second chemo. And so you don't feel as sick, but you know, it took my eyebrows, my eyelashes, all the rest of it. Like I was like connecting the dots with my eyebrows for a little bit, and then they were gone. They were completely gone. So yeah, you know, so the hair loss and the appetite, and just like, you know, digestive issues, yeah, those are basically just being tired. Like you always felt fatigued. Sorry.
Sure.
So
I think we're both there.
Oh,
no, you're fine.
You always felt fatigued and just, you know, really just tired. So that was like the biggest thing with it is just not having much energy, and then still having to be mommy and wife. And I shouldn't forget this. This is not that it's a big deal out of it, but I had cooked this whole dinner, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, oh, I didn't put any salt in this. And I'm like, I'm telling my husband, I'm like, did I put? And my mom's like, it's Nadia, it tastes fine. I'm like, oh, it's horrible, it's so bland. Well, I lost my salt taste buds.
Oh.
So you like lose even like taste buds. So I always crave food that was like really strong and garlic and onions and stuff, just because like you can't taste anything. You couldn't taste like the seasoning and things like that. So just little weird things, but I have to say, I know that with the chemo that I was on, the first one, it would put people in the hospital. So God like really kept me through that, because I didn't have to stop at all. I could keep going. Some people would have to skip a treatment because it's so hard on them. And the neuropathy can get so bad where people can't walk, and mine wasn't that bad. I could walk. I didn't have numbness, and so it's just a lot of different things that I know that like Psalm 91 just got like kind of kept me, like he just really kept me through a lot of things. And I didn't even take my anti-nausea meds because they made me sick, weirdly enough. But I just feel like God kept me because I didn't even need to take that. So, yeah, it's just a lot of little things. You don't think back, you know, you lose all the hair and like even in your nose, and so like you're like everything's coming in and coming out. And it's just like, no, you're like trying to be graceful and a lady throughout stuff, and it's like, oh, I don't have all the things to keep me graceful right now.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's just little things here and there, but it could have been so much worse. And when I look back, especially about how I could keep going through. It wasn't until the immunotherapy, until my heart actually was affected by it. So, yeah.
I love your perspective that it could have been worse.
Oh gosh,
You still are able to see the light in it, even though you went through that. So I want to, just pause for a second and allow you, I know this is not always easy. And this is, again, I applaud you for your courage to share this with us and with the rest of the world that might be watching. There are some things that you've said that make me really reflect on just how much we should really appreciate life and how much we so often take for granted. You shared that you took some months before you actually went to actually get the lump checked out. And how many of us actually do that, dismiss something that we're feeling in our body, especially as women, sometimes like, oh, I've always got that lump, or it'll go away. It's just part of my cycle. It's going to go away. And we dismiss those things that we should probably be checking on, especially as we get older. And so much is put in our food and so many different things that we take into our body. We just really never know how our body's going to respond.
But you don't think about it.
Right.
You know?
Right. Or we dismiss it or excuse it. And in your 30s, we imagined it couldn't happen. I mean, I'm plus 30s, but in those years, I don't think I ever would have thought. I probably would have just dismissed, oh, it'll go away, or it's just this anomaly, or it happened to my mom and my sister, so that's just part of the journey for our family, and not regarded it. So I'm just so grateful that you listened to that intuition and went to the doctor.
Finally,
and
right?
Well, it happened. But I would love for you to share with us what were those supports that really helped you walk out this journey?
So as soon as they told me that, so I had already sent, you know how we send the whole text message, right? Like to everybody, all the people I knew that would pray for me. I had already sent that out. You know, they think this might be cancer. Please pray for me. And then after we found out that it was cancer, okay, we're just gonna have surgery. This is gonna be easy. Please pray for me. And because that was my first time ever being under anesthesia, so that was already scary enough for me. And then once I found out that it had gone further and they didn't know, so we went from stage 1 to now stage 2, and if it went someplace else, stage 3, or dare I even think of the other, right?
Right.
And so as soon as they told me we need to, give you a scan and make sure it's nowhere else, I had reached out to some friends that are very prophetic friends, and I told my husband, I'm going and I'm getting some prayer. They're going to be speaking in tongues and laying hands. And he said, I don't care. I just want to be with you. I said, okay, well, let's go.
Okay.
And we went, and oh boy, I don't know how long we prayed, but it was a long time and just lots of words. And God, he was already sharing signs with me even beforehand, and it was like having that being confirmation in this prayer time. And then so after that, I had my scan, and they saw that there was no cancer anywhere at all in my body, because they had already had the surgery and taken out, I called it the offense.
Okay.
So they had already got rid of the offense. And so it was faith from the get-go, and just making sure that I was just have prayers out there, just constantly prayers. And then having my prophetic friends, and then they were teaching a class that helped you hear from God yourself. So I was like, all right, I'm going. Balled in all, I was there, and I'm like every week, and I went for months,
Okay.
and it, like I graduated and everything just to stay plugged in. So that was my thing, just faith, just having the faith. That was part of it. That was my support, having faith and being surrounded by people who could just feed me, you know, with like encouraging words and or lead me in the right place when it came to that. And then on a physical, so that was my spiritual side and everything. And on the physical side, I did try to get rest. That was one thing that I made sure that I tried my best to get rest. And I went and saw a naturopath and just like different things to kind of help keep me lessen the side effects during chemo and all the other treatments. And I tried juicing, and I was drinking green tea. I was trying to do everything to just help keep my body as strong as I could.
Okay.
While I was going through it, like I needed the spiritual part, and then I needed to do the physical part too. So it was mind, body, and everything. Trying to do everything to just stay up.
I think that's very significant that the spirituality was very present, and yet you trusted modern medicine at the same time because you had surgery. And so it wasn't an either or, but a both and. And I think that's very significant. I know that and everyone's faith journey is different. I happen to, while I walk in faith, I trust that God has given wisdom to doctors to help me see about what needs to be done with this body, which medicine, the way that it exists today, didn't exist many, many years ago. And so I'm thankful for those advancements, but I'm also, again, just so grateful that you would share all of the aspects of your journey with us, because this is so important. There's so many women that unfortunately we're losing because they don't follow up, because we don't get our mammograms, or because we dismiss that quirk or that feeling that might be going on. So I appreciate you being here with us more than you know. What would you say you learned about yourself in this journey?
So one thing that I learned the most about myself is that I am more resilient and stronger than I ever gave myself credit for. Ever. I've always felt that I was more of the sensitive person, sensitive one in my family. And, you know, and some unkind words, and you made me feel, you know, that I was the weaker one and everything. But after going through this journey, I was just like, no, I'm not weak.
Not at all.
I am strong. I'm resilient. And I always had a very hope type of person. But man, I relied on hope and faith, and just keep reminding myself of even things that I like. Psalm 91, I had put that in myself a long time ago. And I learned that just what I did, even though I didn't think it was a big deal then, just like reading that every night, it made a big deal in my now. So I learned that a lot of things that I used to do helped me get through what I was doing in that moment, and that God saw that, and he remembered, you know, and it's just, so I just learned I was just more, and I wasn't afraid to be my own advocate when it came down to now I did try to quit my chemo, but she talked my oncologist, who was amazing, she talked me out of it, but I tried to quit it just because I was like, okay, this is not life. I don't have cancer in my body, because that was one thing that was a big deal for me, is like, you took it out with surgery, why am I still going through this whole thing? And you know, they kept explaining it, and I was just like, oh, but how could I be okay when this is making me feel so bad? And so, but I stuck through it, and I kept through it, and what I started to do is pray over my, you know, the different side effects on paper. I would like lay those out and pray before my treatment, and just, please, you know, keep this away, that way, keep this away. And so just, I learned that when I needed to, I could do it. Like, you know, when things get tough, I can get through it, and I could be strong, and I could hold on to my faith even in a hard time. Because in my mind, I was like, the only one that could fix this is the one that I have to reach out to, and that was God. Like, I knew that I couldn't get through it without him. So I learned that I can do it.
Okay.
You know, I didn't want to do it, but I did it.
Right.
But I learned that I could do it, and thankfully he helped me do it with a smile. You know, some days were hard, and some days I cried, but I draw my eyebrows on and get up and keep moving. You know, like I learned that I could get through, and I could get through it as pleasant as I could. You know, like I would have thought that, I would have, you want to maybe crawl in the closet and just stay there. You know, I had my cry moments in the closet, but I got up. You know, I learned that I could get back up. And so that was a long way of answering your question, but.
But every answer you give is good. So just speak from your heart. I thank you for that, because someone that's watching, someone that's listening, I'm hoping that you are gaining hope from hearing that there is life and light after the diagnosis.
Yes, I like that. Yes.
So what do you do differently now that you may not have done before the diagnosis and the journey of healing?
So we had that little talk earlier about just a reset. I felt like life before for me was so on autopilot. Like I was just coasting, and I was, I was doing the mommy thing, I was doing the wife thing, I was doing the housewife thing, and I just remember being just exhausted. Like, I just got to get through this, I just got to get through this. But now it's like, I don't want to just get through this. Like, I want to enjoy the ride. And so that's how I look at it. And when you were saying the light at the end, that's what I'm just like thinking. If I could write a peace sign on a rainbow, that would be me. Like, that's where my mind is. Like, I want to just enjoy the colors and enjoy the ride instead of just coasting by. So when I hug, I really hug, and when I laugh, I really laugh. It might not be cute, but I'm really laughing. And it's just like, everything is just a bit more. And I know I wouldn't have had that perspective if I had not gone through the journey, and it's just, everything is just I don't know, like, best way to put it is I'm more intentional about stuff, and just wanting to enjoy, and just figuring out a way to like enjoy, and working on myself, just like mind, body, and spirit and soul. Like, I'm just wanting to be more complete in everything. So that is, I was already on like the health kit before then. I was like, well, maybe, I don't know, give me back my bacon and my mayonnaise, because I caught cancer anyway. I'm just like, so what? And I'm just like, let's just, so what, eat this sugar, just everything, because I caught it anyway. So but I basically went back to, just, I like doing more natural things, and I eat. I still eat, but I'm mindful, and I was mindful before then too, but now it's just like, okay, I'm looking for adding more good in, instead of like, okay, well, let me take this out, but just adding more good in, and if you fill up more with good, then maybe you'll want less of not so good, so just more intentional about things, and just wanting to enjoy. And one thing we did as a family throughout the journey is we always try to laugh at least once a day. That's why watching something funny, or just laughing. And still now, like, I love to laugh. Like, I always want to just laugh, and so I think that was the biggest thing, is just a reset, and just being more intentional about everything that I do, and trying to enjoy the ride much better. You still have, as with everything, you still have your days, but definitely choosing how you want to have that day. Like, don't stay in a funk if you don't have to. Like, get out of it, and well, you never have to. Things can be bad, and it's all in how you choose to deal with it. But I definitely just reset, and time with my family, my kids, and also wanting to spend more time with family, like everybody,
Okay.
and just, I could just definitely do better at that because, my kids are still small and they just take up so much of your energy and time. But it's like, but when it comes down to birthdays and things like that, just making sure that we want to celebrate that. And and again, I said I could do better with the time, but my uncle Fred, he's good at Thanksgiving,
Okay.
and just always making sure that we stay, just see each
Connected.
other,
Okay.
and now I'm actually I have the opportunity. I see my mom every Friday,
Okay.
and I love it. I drive over there. She's retired now, so I just being intentional about that. Just even though we just sit there and talk, I'm sitting there talking with my mama, and
Right.
I enjoy it. So yeah.
I love
and
that.
again, I just took over on that.
No,
Sorry.
that is actually one of the points of our annual theme for Life Changers. It's intentional serving, living, and giving. And so to hear you say that intentional living,
Yes.
it matters. I hope that it doesn't take tragedy or some trauma for others to
Exactly.
begin to live intentionally. But that's awesome. You are just beautiful. I have to
Thank
just
you.
tell you
You
that,
too. I was
just
gonna
to,
tell you I love all
oh,
of
thank
this.
you, thank you. But the joy that you have, even sharing this story, that
Thank
is
you.
something that is difficult. Just to see the smile on your face, it's like, Lord, I hope other women can see this and feed off of this, because the long, beautiful hair is so much beautiful on somebody else, because that's work for me. But your hair is beautiful. So when you talk about having lost your hair, but just to regain that, and you have a glow.
Oh,
You do.
thank
You know how
you.
they say we glow when we're expecting and all those other things. This is not a Vaseline glow. I need you all to know this is genuine.
Some good makeup
this-
and some bronzer.
But
Little
just
extra help.
that's it. But you are beautiful, and
Thank you so
you
much.
don't look like what you've been through. That's
Oh
what
my
we
goodness,
say as a
thank
cliche
you.
in church. But just to be that encouragement for you,
I
just know,
appreciate that.
definitely.
That's God. I asked God. My whole thing. I was like, please let me get through this without the smell of smoke. That's what I asked him. I was like, okay, are
I
we
like
lose?
that.
And I would ask. I was just like, please, God, and it was refreshing to hear when people were like, I didn't even know you were going through that. And I'm like,
Wow.
you see that bald head? Okay, well, fine. But it was just to hear that. It just feels like, thank you, God, because. Like you said, the light at the end, and that was one thing that I made sure that I didn't get caught up in a lot of groups that were going through it, but not hopefully going through
Yes.
it. So I wanted to connect with people who were already past it, or they were like me. Let's, look, if we're gonna go through this, let's go through it and laugh and get
Yes.
through it and win.
Yes.
I had this thing, I called it my grace face, and I always made sure I had some lips on,
Okay.
glitter.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they were like, ooh.
We
that
need
was
to
my
adopt
grace
that.
face.
We need a grace face. Ladies, let's find our grace face.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay.
Oh man,
Okay.
that's what made me happy, and so
Okay.
that was my way. And I always took a selfie because I always needed a chemo sitter.
Okay.
I'm afraid you didn't get to go to chemo with me, but and again, just having family and having people with you. And I know for some people it may be a lonely thing, but even though I was like doing it by myself, I never felt alone, and I never felt lonely because Uncle Fred, he came over and with his brother, they prayed with me, and just he called me even before then, and it was just, you always had someone who was letting you know that they're thinking of you, and that makes a big deal with how you get through it, and if you can get through it with a smile and a glow, whatever way, but it does help to have love and be surrounded by love, for sure.
So with that, what advice would you give to the loved ones of someone that is going through? What kinds of encouragement or wisdom could you share with them about how helpful they might be able to be in that journey? Because I know, having been on the sidelines watching my mother pass from cancer, there were seasons where I felt very helpless.
Yes.
But what advice could you give to the loved ones of someone that's going through that might be helpful?
So I'll look at the camera
Yes.
for this. I would say if you ever have the unfortunate opportunity to have to witness someone going through it or going through it yourself, I would say the biggest thing that you can do is to just be there. Be there as their cheerleader, be there as their prayer warrior, stand in the gap sometimes, because sometimes it's hard to get there yourself. Just be there, even if it's just simply, hey, you look good, you are strong, man, you can rock a ball head, anything, just be there. And if God tells you, sewing in a little financial blessing, helpful too, because it's very expensive, and unfortunately that's why a lot of people struggle getting the help they need because of the finances.
Right.
And that's one thing that I have noticed even coming after my journey, that some people are not even able to get the help they need because of finances. So just being there, that's a big thing, and making sure that if there is something that they need, even ask, what is it that you need, because it's different for everyone. But I think the biggest thing is just feeling that you are loved and someone's there and they're your cheerleader. They are telling you how strong you are, and that just goes a long way. So that would be my advice, is just to be there any way that you feel comfortable and they feel comfortable having you being there.
Great.
So.
And my last question for you is for that woman, that 30-something-year-old, I'm invincible, I'm every woman, I can do it all, I can handle it all.
Yes.
What advice do you have for her?
Be your own advocate. So if you feel like something's wrong, get it looked. It's not gonna go away without me. Even if it isn't something, get every stone turned and everything, just to make sure that you have that peace, that it's okay. And it's okay to get help. It's okay to make sure that you're good and you're healthy. It's okay to be strong too. So if you feel like, hey, I can handle this, well, go to the doctor, get the information, and handle it, But just don't ignore it, because I honestly feel like had I just worked a few months faster, maybe it hadn't gone to my lymph nodes. Maybe it would have been easier, So I just say that even though you may feel, oh, it's okay, and you want to have faith, but sometimes faith is going to do something that's scary. And most of the time when we're saying, oh, well, we're strong and we're fine, and there's a bit of fear. But faith is pushing past that fear and getting it looked at and getting it checked up, and then knowing that God is with you to help you after that. So I would just say to even 30s, 20s even, and especially, and know your history too. I didn't know anything in my family until I started asking. Oh, such and such. Oh, really? And then while I was going through, I had another cousin. She's like fourth removed, but she went through breast cancer. She was in, I think she was in her 70s at the time. So it was like, okay, I thought it was the first, and then having my cousin 3 years, she go 3 years after me, about 3 or 4 years after me, her go through it. And it's just, know your history, and not in a way to be fearful, but in a way to just, with heart disease, that's a big thing that they are like, okay,
Yes.
If you know that you're a little bit more prone to something, then maybe do more walks or avoid. So, you can do things to kind of help lessen your chances if it is in your family, and you can stay on top of it and find it early if you know it is a possibility in your family. So that would be my biggest advice, is just ignoring it. It's not going to let it go away. And getting it checked out doesn't make you any weaker. It makes you stronger, in fact. So, and no matter what, you can do this.
Yes.
You can do it. it's not, I think that's, back in the day, having breast cancer was just like a death sentence. You were just,
Yes.
or you're just going to be disfigured, you know.
Yes.
It's just, oh, you know. But it's not like it used to be. One thing my sister says, that after she's seen me go through it, and then our cousin go through it, she realized that if she ever had to, that she can get through it. You know, it's not like it used to be, where you're just like, you get the news and then next thing you know that Hollywood stuff, you're bald and then they're at your funeral.
Right.
It's not like that anymore. You know, just, but it also takes being your own advocate and getting checked and looking early, starting earlier in like making sure. And if you do have someone in your family, I know insurance doesn't cover, unless you're a certain age, but you can get a mammogram early if you just say, hey, I had a friend that said, look, I just got 2 friends, one stage 1, one stage 2, I want my mammogram. And so she was able to get her mammogram because it's happening earlier and earlier now.
Right, right.
But you can catch it early too, so that's the good thing.
Thank you for that. It looks like,
I don't have a mic, but now that we go into your ministry that this journey led you into.
yes.
Breast cancer.
With the ministry?
Yeah, ministry you now have, working with other women.
Okay, so breast cancer, the treatment led me to heart disease. So the chemo, it was chemo-induced cardiomyopathy.
Okay.
So it weakened my heart muscle, and I became a women heart champion. I am retired now, we'll say that. But I did start doing support groups for that, and going and doing volunteering at the hospital and meeting people with heart disease. But I don't know, I kind of took it upon myself on the breast cancer side to just, if someone I knew or someone knew someone, I get, here's my number, get in. So I've met different people that I can call friends now, that are like going through the journey, or have gone, and just being there, and then they're passing it forward, and they're helping others, and being there for other women that are going through it. So I think that if you want to call that, you know, a ministry, but just making sure that if you know of someone who's going through it, don't leave them like that. You know, let them know that there is a rainbow at the end of the storm, and just let them know that there is someone, because they need to see what it looks like outside of treatment. Because while you're in it, you're like, oh my goodness, oh, and when you're hearing some of the chatter while you're at the, oh boy, you're just like, oh my goodness, what happened? And the doctor, oh, and you just listening, you're like, oh my goodness, I can't listen to this, because you know, everyone's journey is different, and sometimes people are in there again and again and again, and so, but you don't want to claim that for yourself. So it's important to just kind of show other women that you will get past this, you know, just helping them. So that's kind of what I've made sure that if there is someone who knows someone that's going through it, I get like, hey, they're more than welcome to call me if they want to call. And then on the heart disease side too, you know, and I hate to call it heart disease. I like to put sugar on a lot of words, but so I'm like, you know, my heart issue, we won't call it a disease.
Right.
So, but
well, our words have power, so
they do.
Yes.
I tell my daughter that all the time. Speak some good stuff.
That's
like,
right.
Your words have power.
That's right.
So, so yeah, I try to, you know, sugar and fluff a lot of different words, because I do feel like it is how you look at it, you know, and there is a glass half full or half empty, you know. So, but did that answer your question, Uncle Fred? Yeah. So it's very much just being there for others, because once you go through it, they need to see that you can get through it, and this is what it looks like on the other end. And you know, and you mentioning the hair, especially when women don't have, you know, hair at the moment, and you come in, you're like, girl, it comes back. You know, you'll be able to, you can get it back. So it's okay. It's and you to try to let them know it's just hair. You know, it will come back. And it's okay. It's gonna be okay. So I think that I guess that would be a ministry then.
It is absolutely a ministry.
Helping, yeah.
Helping others, serving others, even in the midst of your own healing journey, because I know it's not, oh, I'm done with chemo, the end.
No, it's
As
not.
you said, there's some lasting health issues that you had to address.
Oh, yeah.
So it's still not the end.
Oh, it's not.
But-
You're still working on me. Still working on my body and everything. Just rebuilding my body. So.
And it's after 5-6 years now. Okay.
It's been 6 years for me, and so I guess I'm just gonna always be in a relationship with my cardiologist. That's what she told me.
Okay.
She's like, we're just gonna always So
Okay.
I'm always but that's not everyone's journey. That's not everyone's story too. I just want to say that you're not gonna end up with heart issues. You know, it's but yeah, just because estrogen fed mine, I got rid of the things that cause more estrogen. So that you don't know how much you need estrogen until you don't have estrogen. You're like, okay, I needed you.
Right.
So figuring out how to replace its job without putting it back in.
Okay.
So there's a lot of little different things that they don't necessarily tell you while you're going through it. And maybe that's for a reason, or maybe they just don't know until you mention it later. But there are different things that you can do to like try to keep yourself as healthy as you can throughout the journey that you know I wish that I would have known. So when I meet other people, I try to tell them, make sure you have a cardiologist, make sure you get a naturopath if you can, and just little things like that. So
well, those little things are big things for those of us that don't know.
I think so, yeah.
I thank
wish I
you.
would have known.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's why we have you here tonight. So the rest of us,
Hopefully
your journey was not just for you, it was for us.
no.
And so
Yeah.
I'm grateful that you were willing to
Thank
share this
you.
with us. And
Thank
I know I said that was my last question, but I want to ask you, how are you now in this day, this moment on your healing journey?
Well, thank you for asking. I feel like, especially today, I feel like I'm definitely much better than 2017. I'm definitely much better than 2018. I'm good, health-wise. But you know what and I also want to say is, make sure that you process what you're going through too. And so I think like now that my body's changing and everything and I'm trying to rebuild it, I'm like, okay, well, I did go through some breast cancer, didn't I? Okay, that did some stuff with me. So I'm working through everything, and I feel good about it in the sense that I really want to be the best Nadia I can be, mind, body, and soul. So health-wise, I'm feeling good. My heart, she was happy that it's staying stable. It's back up. My oncologist didn't have any concerns, and so health-wise I'm feeling good, and mentally I'm feeling good too. But I do want to say, just with being, if you are going through something, don't feel bad if you do want to make sure if you want therapy or something just to like process what you're going to, or even like church. I'm not sure how much pastors or something that just kind of talk to you. Like, don't feel like you have to be wear your cape all the time.
Yes.
If you need to wash it a little bit and hang it up, then do it. And just, because I do feel like through my process, I made sure that I told people to just go, it's okay. If you're going to cry, but get back up. And that's still what I feel today. However, I am working on just, okay, now that I've gone through it and I'm good, then I want to make sure that I'm mentally in everything good.
Yes.
Physically, emotionally, everything. So just working on everything, keeping myself healthy from head to toe. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay. And I feel like I'm good.
Well, you look good.
Long way from good.
You look good. You look good. And again, thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you. This was lovely. I wasn't sure. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. But you made it very comfortable.
Thank you.
Just thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, we are concluded our interview. I'm not sure if there were any questions that anyone might have had. Online? Okay. Well then, Pastor Fred, we will turn it back over to you.
We thank both of these young ladies for being a part of and participating and sharing with you. As I usually do on Monday night, I do a little wrap-up afterwards. And even though this is breast cancer and basically dealing with women, I wanted Nadia to touch on, which she did, and also Sister Sherry last week. The entire family goes through this journey with you. Is it different? Yes, but it's an entire journey. And the one thing that I wanted Nadia to touch on, and she did, is her ministry. Because she's gone through this, what we would call a very dark time, and she really does turn it, in my eyesight, to a very positive time. When my daughter was diagnosed with breast cancer, she guided my daughter through it. And it's one thing to say, okay, that's my cousin, that's my immediately blood family. But what Nadia also does is make herself available to anyone. And sometimes we think ministry is just getting up here in the pulpit and no, ministry is really done outside these four walls. Ministry is ministering to the need of God's people. And sometimes you have that word, you have that element that is needed because of what you've been through. And so she is very giving of her time as she can, even as a mother of young children and a wife. One other thing I want to say to us men, Sister Sherry last week shared something that just made me astonished. And I know a little bit about Nadia's transaction, and I want to say to all the men, you're very well needed in this journey. You're very well needed. As Sister Sherry said last week, her husband walked off and left her. I can tell you, Nadia's husband just picked up everything. She probably back there getting embarrassed, but because what she said is, I just felt so bad going through the chemo, but he picked up the cooking. He picked up the this. He picked up the that. It's a journey of a family. And he made her journey a little bit easier. And his name is Lee. Well, both my son-in-law and my nephews, their name is both Lee, and they just stuck by these women. So I want to say as a man, your wife needs you even the more to go through this. And I'm going to say both of them, because it's my family, and neither one of them probably want me to say this, but Nadia touched on something. When you're going through, that's what you're doing, going through. And they said, I just needed him to say I was beautiful. Not the doctor, I just needed him to say I was beautiful. What Sister Sherry said last week, she said that I had no eyelashes, and that was part of my being a woman. There are certain things that are gone. And I didn't know that as Pastor Fred, but by going through and having these sessions on breast cancer, I found out, you know what? Sometime, well, as Pastor Newton has said over the past several weeks, your words have power. And so if sometime you just need to tell someone, baby, you looking good, because of what they're going through. And so, once again, I've been on this kick now for several years. When I stand up here in the pulpit and say, I look good, I'm giving myself therapy. But I found out through my daughter and through Nadia, both of them had, prior to breast cancer, both of them had hair down their back. And when they came out with those egg-shaped heads, they needed somebody to say, baby, you look good. And like I told both of them, you were beautiful on the inside. The hair was just whatever the word is. But with it or without, you look good. All Pastor Fred is trying to share with the men out there is this is a journey you have to go on too. And we can help make it a little easier with them. Once again, as we get ready to leave you, our pastor asks each week those of you that will and those of you that can would make a contribution of $20 or whatever you may have to assist in our education department. It should be on the screen now showing you the various ways that you can contribute. We thank you so much for being a part of and listening to. God say the same. We'll be back. I want to say once again, thanks Sister Sherry for last week sharing her journey and testimony with it. I thank Sister Nadia for coming and sharing with us, and I thank Evangelist Pearson for coming in and doing the facilitating. We know you have been hope. Once again, God bless you.